Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got Jayden Daniels, the most confusing QB in the 2024 NFL draft. Now, I think the reason why he's so confusing is because he only started 2 years at LSU. He was a little off his first year starting, but his second year when he won the Heisman, absolutely just lit it up. Like, he had what, over 4,000 yards passing. Did he have over 1,000 yards rushing? I'm not sure, but hey man, let's check this out.
Jayden Daniels is probably one of the most polarizing prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft. He's a hot name after winning the Heisman Trophy, but he's not expected to go first overall by really anyone. Caleb Williams probably has that one locked up. The question then becomes, who will be the second quarterback off the board at 2 to Washington, and who's still going to be there at 3 when the Patriots are on the clock? Now,
I'm pretty sure the Patriots would be great with anybody. Like, they would be happy with any one of these quarterbacks. But it's the thing is, are they gonna perform really good?
But it's also safe to say that
because the Patriots don't even have a #1 wide receiver right now.
Why Jayden Daniels just won the Heisman. He was the best player in college football, and he deserves his flowers. But that doesn't exactly mean he's the best or even the second best quarterback in the upcoming draft. This draft will be the 4th ever where 2 different Heisman winning quarterbacks will get selected. The most recent was in 2018 when Baker Mayfield went first overall and Lamar Jackson was taken with the last pick in the first
Freaky.
round. Lamar has already won 2 MVPs.
Yes, sir. That's my glorious king right there. You feel me?
Both good takes looking back at this point. 3 years before that, we saw 2 Heisman winners go back to back: Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota.
That shit look heavy as hell. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
But both have started games in the past 2 years. Then all the way back in 2010,
Sam Bradford
first overall, and Tim Tebow went at 25.
Tim Tebow is the biggest bust, bro.
Moments, but were never really long-term solutions at quarterback. And now you can almost certainly add Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels to the group. The 22-year-old Caleb will likely go first to Chicago, and Daniels should follow soon after a successful and long 5 years in college. There's a lot of film on Jayden Daniels just because of how long he started in college. But there's no doubt that his best year was last year. Jayden Daniels was absolutely phenomenal last year.
The reason I didn't say anything about him starting at Arizona, I did not watch him. I wasn't watching college football when he was at Arizona. I started really watching it like 2020 was when I really started to watch college football, and Jayden Daniels, I started to really catch up on him like last year. Well, not last year, a couple years ago when he had first started for LSU.
LSU started off the year with a tough loss to number 8 Florida State, where he threw a single touchdown and had a pick. But that actually ended up being his only game of the season where he only threw for a single touchdown. Daniels had 4 or more total touchdowns in 9 games last year. In mid-November against Georgia State, he threw for 6 touchdowns and ran for 2 more. And he followed it up with 4 passing touchdowns against Texas A&M the next week. He was fun as hell to watch, and it was pretty evident that he was playing great football. But there were still plenty of questions about him winning the Heisman. LSU lost 3 games on the year, and we're certainly not going to be a college football playoff team. Other than the loss to FSU, they lost to number 20 Ole Miss in a shootout and lost to
that game was crazy
Alabama by 2 scores.
Yeah,
LSU was just 1-3 against.
The only reason they lost to LSU is because their defense was atrocious.
Missouri by 10, as Daniels had 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing. The Tigers just didn't have as much team success compared to some of the other frontrunners for the Heisman, like Michael Penix or Bo Nix did. But Jayden Daniels was clearly the most valuable player in the country. He ended up throwing for 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, and rushed for 1,134 yards.
Yeah, he did over 1,000.
Simply put, he was sensational.
He definitely gets me, like I said in my Jayden Daniels highlight video reaction, he definitely reminds me of Lamar Jackson.
Essentially did the same thing. He transferred from Ohio State after 3 seasons and had a solid first season before breaking out and winning the Heisman and a national championship en route to being the 1st overall pick. Now,
definitely a great comp though.
First and doesn't have a ring, but it's a similar story as both transferred to play for a new or somewhat new head coach and dominated.
Yeah, didn't Burrow start out at like Ohio State?
Daniels wasn't some star in his first year in Baton Rouge, but he was still good. 2022 was the first year for Brian Kelly as the head coach at LSU after he came over from Notre Dame, and he landed Jayden Daniels in the portal. It was a good first season under Kelly. LSU was ranked as high as number 5 in the country in late November. They had lost to FSU to start the season and later fell to number 8 Tennessee, but had a stretch where they won 9 of 10 with wins against number 6 Alabama and number 7 Ole Miss. The
That game was heartbreaking.
Season with the loss to Texas A&M,
when we lost to LSU that year.
Georgia
it's in overtime.
Championship. Jayden Daniels had a good season. He had 4 games with 3 or more total touchdowns.
Is that his mom?
And overall passed for 2,913 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, and he rushed for 885 yards and 11 touchdowns. There were some good wide receivers on his 2 teams at LSU. Kayshon Boutte was a reliable receiver in 2021 and had his 3rd straight 500-plus yard season. And of course, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. are likely going to be first rounders in the draft. When you play at an SEC,
I just wish Kayshon Boutte could have been like more consistent. You feel me? And like he fell all the way out of the draft, I believe. I think he's on the Patriots now, so hopefully he can get a shot this year.
Where Brandon Ayuk was
and if he can team up with Jayden Daniels again this year, so that would be pretty nice.
Rachaad White was then the Sun Devils running back and had over 1,000 yards in 2021, which was his and Jayden Daniels' last season there. Johnny Wilson also played, who was coming off of back-to-back 600-plus yard seasons at Florida State. Ahead of the 2021 season, the NCAA announced that ASU was under investigation for recruiting violations, and Jayden Daniels' mom was named in the allegations after booking more than $1,100 in flights for recruits.
Oh gosh.
Herm Edwards stayed employed for another season before getting fired, and then in 2023, ASU self-imposed a bowl ban. 5 full-time coaches were fired because of the investigation, including the alleged ringleader, now Raiders head coach, Antonio Pierce. It was a mess, and that's why Jayden Daniels decided to jump to LSU, which clearly...
Of course he's on the Raiders.
He did once show a lot of promise at LSU, especially as a freshman.
If you know, you know, man.
He started in 12 games for the Sun Devils and passed for 2,943 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, and rushed for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns. Arizona State went 8-5 overall and picked up big wins over number 18 Michigan State, number 15 Cal, and number 6 Oregon with Justin Herbert. The 2020 season was obviously a mess for everyone because of COVID, but Daniels got to start in 4 games and had 701 yards and 5 touchdowns to an interception, adding 223 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. In 2021,
damn, oh my gosh,
number 25 in the preseason AP poll, but
that spin was nasty.
To the hype. They beat number 20 UCLA and lost to number 23 BYU. The Sun Devils went 8-5, and Jayden Daniels really struggled throwing the ball. He finished the year with 2,380 yards and 10 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. He did, however, have a big season rushing with 710 yards and 6 touchdowns. It took some time and a transfer to LSU, but Jayden Daniels did develop into a very good college quarterback. Jayden Daniels was a top recruit going into college and is now a top prospect going into the draft. The question now becomes, where does he land? There are plenty of quarterback-needy teams drafting high in the 2024 NFL Draft, and there's some good quarterback names too. Caleb Williams is the big one. He won the Heisman Trophy in 2022 and has long been expected to be a first overall pick, and that'll probably be the case. The Bears just traded Justin Fields to the Steelers, so you have to think the pick is Caleb. That leaves Jayden Daniels along with Drake May and possibly JJ McCarthy. It's really going to come down to who Washington wants with the 2nd overall pick. Next up on the clock is the
Definitely
Patriots.
Not JJ McCarthy.
Chances are they'll probably be drafting a quarterback. If they don't, I'll be livid. The Giants might go quarterback at 6, and same goes for the Vikings at 11, Broncos at 12, and Raiders at 13. Other than Caleb Williams, it feels like any of those other quarterbacks could drop. Only time will tell. Drafting a quarterback in the NFL is such a difficult task. So much of it has to do with the situation and everything around that quarterback. And while I'd expect Jayden Daniels to be in either Washington or New England next year, we don't really know if it'll be a perfect fit. Jayden Daniels was amazing in his 5th year of college, and he showed a ton of promise. But now, it's time to see if it'll actually translate.
Hey man, what do y'all think? Where y'all think Jayden Daniels can go? Me personally, I think he's definitely going to go to the Patriots. I think it's definitely going to go Caleb Williams to the Bears, Drake May to the Commanders, and then Patriots going to take Jayden Daniels, man. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. It's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, turn on my post notifications so you get notified whenever I drop another banger video. Without further ado, I'm out. Gang!